guys, Nthefastlane here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change the transmission fluid on a manual B2300 Mazda or a Ford Ranger with the 4 cylinders. This even pertains to the V6s. Also, I'm going to be changing out the tail, they believe they call it the tail seal on the transmission. Actually, I just call it the rear transmission seal for the drive shaft. But mine's got a little leak on it, so we're going to be doing that. A lot of people fill the transmission fluid up through the shift knob. They'll take the shifter out, the console, and then pour it down there after they've drained it. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to fill it with the fill bolt. Though if you ever have one of those 5W or actually 85, 90 weight gear oil bottles, they have a little nipple on them, you can squeeze them. That's what I'm going to be using to fill that up. Just in case you guys are wondering what transmission fluid you need to use, for 2000, I believe 2000 and up Ford Rangers and Mazdas, B2300s and B3000s or whatever and 4000s, they require you to use Mercon 5 or V, and you can't use just the regular Mercon. So yes, it is automatic transmission fluid. That's what it calls for in the manual. I know it sounds a little strange. Usually for a manual transmission you'll end up using gear oil, but not with this application. If you're wondering what part it's going to take for the tail seal or the rear transmission seal, here's the part number, S-7692S, and it's DriveWorks. That's who makes it. I got this for $2.99. They had one that was $7.99, and I compared both of them, and believe it or not, this one was better made. Now I'll show you what I mean by better made. If you look right here where the spring is, the other one was half this. You could see way more of the spring, so that spring would have folded over, and this is a lot tougher. Like, it feels like it's harder to push down. I've had a lot of problems with rear main seals and stuff like that where these springs, they'll come out because this rubber part's not strong enough to hold it back. So anyhow, this is what it looks like, $2.99, and you can't beat it. It's really good quality. There's absolutely no difference in the $8 one except for this one's better. Now if anyone has some gear oil laying around, you know it comes with this little nozzle on the top. Well, that nozzle, you can tighten it right on top of this. So I'm going to take the nozzle off, clean it, and I'm going to use this to feed the transmission from underneath. Turn it sideways and kind of squeeze it right in there. So first step, I'm going to open up the truck. Make sure you push the e-brake all the way down. Put it in neutral. So here's what we're going to be working with. Let me show you real quick. Get up under here. So pretty much the problem we're having, as you can see, is right here. This is where the seal is. This is the rear tail seal or the rear transmission seal. You can see a little bit of leakage right there. So in order to take this out, you start from the bottom, and down here there's 4 bolts. Now I'm not sure what they are just yet, but there's one here, one here, and one there. I was just checking, I wasn't sure if it was loose. I was gonna say wow, but anyhow, so we got four bolts right there, and they're 12 point. So once we remove those bolts, we're going to drop the shaft down, and then you want to pull out that way. And what will happen is when you pull out that way, right here will come out of the transmission. Then we'll be able to get to the seal. Before we do that though, I'm going to go ahead and drain this transmission fluid, and I'm going to show you where to drain it. So here's the driver's side door, and I'm underneath it. And we're going to come right here underneath transmission, and you can see clearly where it says drain and fill. So there's the big bolt right there at the top, that's the fill bolt, and then this bottom one is the drain bolt. Now I'm not sure what size it is just yet, but it looks pretty big, maybe 22, 20. Anyhow, I'll let you know here in a minute what bolt it is. So we're gonna take this bolt out, put an oil pan under it, let it all drain out. Then we're going to tighten it back up. Then we're going to take that top bolt out right up there, and we're going to go ahead and fill it. We're going to squeeze the transmission fluid in this top bolt until it starts to come out of the top bolt just a little bit. And then we'll just let that drain until it's level. Then we'll put the bolt back on, tighten it, and we're done filling the transmission. But we have to do that after we change the seal out. Here's what you're going to be needing. First, you're going to be needing over here a 1/2-inch ratchet with a 15/16 6-point socket. Also, you're going to need a 12mm 12-point socket for the axle, or the drive shaft. You're going to need a pry bar or a big long screwdriver to pull off the original seal. A little mini sledgehammer or a hammer to tap the seal back in. You're going to need some ultra gray RTV. I like to put it around the seals on the outside and then push it in just to guarantee that it's not going to leak ever. Also, you're going to need your tail seal or your rear transmission seal, a cap from the gear oil, and you're going to need 3 Castrol Mercon V or 5 automatic transmission fluid. 3 of them. The original spec for the amount was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but when I went down to advanced, I had them pull up the amount that I needed, and I would have had a 1/2 quart left or something like that. So you only need 3, you don't need 5 full quarts. So this stuff's expensive. It's $5.99 a quart. So you can imagine it's pretty pricey. So first step, we're gonna get our socket and ratchet, oil pan, and we're going to slide it under here. Okay, so I just cracked the nut loose. I didn't show you because I'm holding the camera. So I loosened it. Now I'm going to get the oil pan under there. And you want to make sure you still have the washer. And look at that, that's nasty. Look how black that is. That stuff's pretty much been in there for a while. Also, if you look at the plug, see all that little metal shavings and stuff? You want to clean all that off before you put that back in there. Now we have our drain bolt all clean. It's just a magnet on the end. So you want to get all those little metal shavings off before you put it back in there. I'm going to let that just keep dripping the way it is. I'm going to set the bolt over here for just a little bit. And then I'm going to go over here down at the end, and we're going to take that drive shaft off. I'm going to hit this with the impact gun instead of doing it by hand. But you're going to need a swivel socket. So there's one. And they just come out just like that. So I'm going to turn the camera off and finish the rest of them. Up top, you're definitely going to need a swivel socket. Once you get the 4 bolts out, you're going to hit drop. Mine's dropped down right now, but you're going to get a flathead, kind of pry it forward because it might be rusted stuck. Now all we're going to do is we're going to pull the shaft away from the seal. We're going to pull it out of the transmission. So I don't have my little mini camera stand, or else I would angle this up so you could see the whole step. So basically I'm just grabbing this and I'm pulling it out. So that's all there is to that. It might take a little bit of muscle. You might have to get in there with a flathead and pry it out, but I'll let you know if I have to. Okay, so don't be afraid. All I did is grab it with one arm and just wiggled it out and held it and then set it down. Once the other end's down on the ground first, it's pretty light. It's not too heavy. Also, here's the seal we was talking about. It's right there. That's the seal you're gonna be ripping out. You're gonna get a flathead and you're gonna pry it out. Try not to nick the inside out because that's where it seals, but you see that little metal lip on the outside right there? See that gash right there? Oh, going too much. But that gash right there, you can stick a screwdriver and hit it the opposite way and it'll pop it out. Here's how I busted that seal out real quick. I just got a little stubby. Let me get out of the light. and I stuck it right in that groove right there, and I hit it with a little small sledgehammer, and it popped it right out. So stick it in that groove right there and tap it, and it'll pop right out. So here's the old seal. You can see where I hit it. If you look, I was telling you about how on these they got real flimsy. Like, it's so flimsy right there. That's how the more expensive one was. It's just so flimsy, and then what happens is that little spring right there pops right out. But with this new one, let me wash my hand real quick. This new one is a lot better. Let's open up the new one. There we go. You can see this new one right here. Look, I'm pushing 10 times harder than I ever pushed on the other seal. It's so much stiffer. Now you're thinking, well, it's old, that's why it's doing it. Nope. The other one that was $8. This was $1 or $1.99 or $2.99. Can't remember what I said earlier. Anyhow, this one right out of the box, brand new, versus the more expensive one. You could buy like 3 of these for the price of the other one, or at least 2. And it was just as flimsy as this stock one. Now here's where they leak. On this one, the difference between the stock one and the after, if you look right here, it's metal, but then it's got rubber right there, and that's where seals mostly. Now if you look right here, there's no rubber. It's just straight metal with paint. So what we're gonna do with this high temp RTV, well, not high temp, but it's just high pressure, high torque RTV silicone. Stuff works excellent. It's good for the oils of your transmission fluid and engine oil. You don't want to use the orange stuff because that'll leak. It's too slippery. So anyhow, we're just going to gather it all along this edge, all the way around, and then we're going to install it. Okay, I'm just going to use some real cheap general purpose grease, Super Tech. You get at Walmart for $1.89, a whole tube of just assembly grease. Stuff works great. So before I do this though, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to put it a little bit on the inside here. Actually not here, but right here, just so when we're sliding the drive shaft it doesn't catch. We're also going to clean the drive shaft, the part that goes in here, and put a little bit of this on the drive shaft also, just for first time assembly. You know, you don't want the rubber to get stuck and then it kind of wears it out prematurely. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean off the edge really good. Okay, we're going to take the high temp RT, or well, not high temp, high pressure, high torque, ultra gray, the gray stuff. We're going to squeeze some out. And we're going to just put it on the outside. Now you can be generous, don't worry about it, it's not going to hurt anything. And this is the part that's going to go in the seal. I don't like leaks, and I'm sure you guys don't either. It doesn't hurt to put this stuff on there. I mean, what can it do really? It's rubber. It definitely, there's no way possible it can hurt a gear. Now, some may say it'll clog up in the transmission, but this is pretty much on the outside, so nothing to really worry about. So just do it like that, all the way around. Okay, now we're just going to take a clean paper towel. We're going to clean the inside of it real quick, kind of make it as dry as possible where the seal's going to go. Now that we've done that, we're going to take the seal and we're just going to put it in there. Now it's not going to fit perfectly in there. We're going to get it pushed, and now we're going to take the flathead or the sledgehammer, little mini sledge, a socket or whatnot, and we're just going to tap it in. Now I'm going to have to put the camera down so I can finish this. Alright, we got the seal on. I had to beat it pretty good. Now it's not that easy. You got to get it just flush. I took one of these oil filter removers and I put it on it like that, and I tapped around it like that, and it helped. I couldn't quite get it started. It was kind of a little tough. Now after that, we're gonna go right over here to the shaft, on the drive shaft, and we're gonna clean it up right here. Just clean it, and then we're gonna put a little bit of this grease on it, and then slide it in there, and we should be good. All right, we got it all greased up, and we're getting ready to put it in that hole right now. As you can see, all I did was lift it up. I got under here and I pushed it forward, just kind of turned it as I was pushing it, and it went right in. Now we're gonna come over here, and you don't have to worry because it's in neutral, so we can just turn it any way we want and bolt it right back up to there. Okay, as you can see, I got the shaft in there right now, and you're gonna want to lock tight your bolts. So go get some Loctite, just put one line on the bolt and then put the bolts back in. So here's what I mean by Loctite. It's just this little tube. It just says Loctite. You can get it at the Autoport store. You're just going to run one strip down it, and that's it. And do that to all the rest of the other three. Okay, now that part's done, we're just going to grab the bolt for the transmission, and we're just going to put it back in. We're going to tighten it up with the 15th, 16th wrench. Just hand tighten it. It's got an aluminum washer on it. And now we're going to go up to the fill part. We're going to take it out, still 15, 16. We're going to take that bolt out, and then we're going to fill the transmission until it starts to flow out of that bolt. Alright, so we got the plug out, all cleaned up. Then we're going to take the top, and we're going to put it on top of this castor oil. I'm going to set the camera down. And then you're just going to screw the cap on. Now, they don't get like crazy tight. I mean, they get pretty tight, but don't over tighten it. Just get it snug, and then take off the red. And now we're gonna go under the vehicle, and we're gonna fill it up. So it should take like 2 3/4 or 2 1/2, something like that. So all you're gonna do is just put it right in the top right here. So I'll show you, and then I'm just gonna fill the rest up. It actually fits perfect in there, as you can see. Alright, so keep filling it until you see this. Once you see that, a little bit of drippage coming out of the hole, let it go until it completely stops. Then put the bolt in, and you're all done. One more thing I forgot to mention is make sure you're on level ground. You don't want to be on a hill, because then the transmission fluid levels won't be proper in there. Last but not least, go ahead and tighten the fill bolt. Just a good tighten, and that's it. You're all done. Well guys, hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to change out your tail seal on the transmission, or the rear transmission seal, and also how to change your transmission fluid. If you like this video, please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.